What's up, everyone? Lewski the Realtor here for another Monday market update. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what's gone on in the last week here in Ventura, California. We're going to share our investment pick of the week, our deal of the week, as well as our luxury pick of the week, and walk you through each of those. We're also going to share some of the key headlines that you may or may not have seen and tell you what's coming up this week that you might want to pay attention to. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in Ventura real estate, this is one video you won't want to skip. All right, so up in front of me, we have here the MLS data, and let's just run through this really quick because last week we saw 13 new listings hit the market, 12 went under contract, 3 were canceled, 23 closed, a couple expired. We saw 7 houses go pending, and I'll talk about those in a minute. We did see 4 come back on the market with 11 price changes and 3 new coming soon listing opportunities. Now, this is a big picture of all the residential stuff that's gone on within the last week. So with all that said, let's jump into our first section where we start looking at the velocity of the market to see how long are homes taking to actually move into escrow. Now, when we look at this information here, we've got it set up in a way where we can filter this for you by days on market. And just like we've talked about in the past couple of videos, for the most part, within 40, 50 days and get into contract. But for the most part, we're seeing that here in Ventura. Now, that's a good thing for you to know because if you are thinking about selling your house, this is a time frame that you want to factor into your next move. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about what's going on in your specific neighborhood, because again, this is for all of Ventura. Now, getting back to it, I like to take a look at the volume of pending sales because 7 is pretty low. Homes right here, for the most part, are all within that time frame I mentioned earlier, within 40 days. Obviously, we have one here, which is an outlier. Now, when you look at this data, I like to talk about the price changes because price changes are becoming more and more common, and that is very situational, but we're starting to see that kind of consistently be around 10 to 15 price improvements each and every week. One of the things I wanted to show you was what sold last week because we saw 23 closings, and this is where we'll get to the section in our video where we identify the deal of the week. Now, we've gone through all the data, we've filtered everything out, and if you look at it here, we can kind of show you what actually transpired. Now, I'm not going to stay on this page too long, but I am going to jump over to the actual deal of the week and show you this one over here on Coronado. It's sold for 96% of its initial asking price, and that was in just a matter of 322 days. When I dove into it deeper, I did know that they offered buyer's agent's compensation, they offered the buyer closing cost help, and they did a price reduction. So with all of that said, this is the one that I would say is definitely the deal of the week. But we're kind of getting off the track because I was supposed to actually share one of our favorite things to look at, which is our luxury pick of the week. Luxury pick of the week goes out here to 1603 East Main Street. This is right on the corner where you actually step into the Hobson Heights neighborhood. So when you look at this one on the map, you can kind of see where you're at, but you're going to have ocean views. You're right here kind of on this little corner right off of Main Street. So you have the Main Street address, but take a look at this Spanish style home in Hobson Heights, because this is the kind of stuff that I personally love. Tile roof, Spanish architecture. It's got a 3-car garage, 2 stories. When you get inside, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, this one is built in the late 20s, but just take a look at the inside. Nice updated kitchen. It's got like the historic charm with the modern updates, with the exception of this tile. Maybe someone just liked purple. But look at this window setup. I mean, nice little reading spot. You got a little bit of peekaboo ocean views out there, and listed at 1.895. I mean, you're getting 2,300 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Hobson Heights is a more desirable neighborhood. Personally, it's one of my favorite neighborhoods. If you have any interest in taking a look at something like this, feel free to check the description. You can click the link there to schedule a time with me, and we can work on scheduling tours. If you haven't already seen it, you might have noticed over here to the left, we're going to show you what we believe is the investment pick of the week. Now, the investment pick of the week is kind of a funny one to me because I used to live in this building. When I first got into real estate, I was looking for a place to live, and I also met someone who was a local real estate agent. They just so happened to need a roommate, and it actually happened to be this property here. So let me show you what we're looking at because this is unique. It's 1.8 million. It's actually a triplex on Channel Drive. So you're right in the Midtown area. Killer location when it comes to getting to and from downtown. You can easily hop on the freeway. There's all sorts of stuff nearby, shopping, restaurants, shops, coffee shops, all sorts of good things. But this is actually an 8-bedroom triplex. Now there's a 3-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, and a 2-bedroom. And so you have these 3 separate units, but this is unit 1, which is kind of like a loft setup. The cool thing about these two is they have garages. And also, one of the things that I like about this one is you could live in one of these and rent the other 2 out and use creative financing to help cover the cost of your mortgage. So if you want to learn more about how that works, feel free to reach out. But all of these units have their own laundry in them, so they're very desirable when it comes time to rent them out. And the floor plans, open floor plans, modern updates. I believe this one was rebuilt back in 2002. One thing I will say about this property is it does back up to the train tracks. If you're not familiar with this part of town, you're going to hear Amtrak and trains pretty much daily. When I lived there, we lived in the back unit, and you kind of get used to the train going by, but it's something that you can't ever miss, especially if you're looking for it. So if that's something that concerns you, maybe this area in Midtown might not be the best fit, but we can find you options further away from the train tracks so that way you don't have to deal with that noise. Anyways, I thought I'd share this one with you because I thought it was funny that it was on the market. I used to live there. I know this property well. So if you want to schedule a tour and take a look for yourself, or if you want to talk to someone about actual creative financing where you can get the renters to help cover your mortgage, let me know and I can connect you with our local partners that will walk you through all the steps to get that done. Well, that does it for the data part. Let's jump over to our next section where we give you a little bit of insights about what's gone on last week in the news, talk to you about what's going on this week, and share some local stuff that you might want to know about. In our next section, the Mo You Know. All right, so there's a lot to talk about in the news, and I'm not going to get into the politics side of things. When we look at what's going on in the economy, in the news, there's a lot of stuff that revolves around this whole election. So it's something that we can't really avoid, but I'm not going to get political on you. I'm going to talk to you about what happened last week and talk about a recent jobs report. Now, when we look over here, we see that the U.S. economy only added 12,000 jobs in the month of October. Now, there's a lot of arguments here because we did have hurricanes, we had the Boeing strike. There was a lot of things going on that was putting downward pressure on the actual jobs that were being created. But when we're historically averaging 194,000 jobs per month added throughout the last 12 months, when we see a number like 12,000, that is kind of concerning. When we look at this is something that I've been watching because as I've started to study the interest rate environment right now, a lot of this is based off of where the economy's at. We're talking about jobless claims. Obviously, unemployment is part of that conversation. With unemployment being at 4.1%, it's kind of remaining flat. However, it does take time for these things to develop. So if we start seeing maybe a November jobs report that is less than stellar in terms of new jobs created, if we start seeing unemployment increase, there could be some pressure and some cracks brewing. But I'm not an economist. I'm just a real estate agent that helps people in Ventura, California, and I nerd out on this stuff. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And feel free to check me because I just study this stuff on my own for hours. And so I'm curious to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. But with all that said, the other thing that we're looking at in this next week is the Federal Reserve is anticipated to cut rates by 25 basis points. Now, this doesn't reflect immediately in the mortgage space. We do have the election coming up, and there are rumors, and there's a lot of people talking about what's going to go on. And I think that depending on what happens, we might see interest rates improve in the near future, because later on this week, we actually have the Federal Reserve meeting, and that's taking place on Thursday, the 7th. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's go over to the mortgage space and talk to you about where mortgage rates are at today, because we're sitting around just over 7%, 7.05 to be exact. Now, if you look back here, you can see we've kind of gradually stepped up since September. Back in September, everyone was fired up because rates were on the decline for a while, and we saw 6.1%. And then we started seeing things with the jobs report. Then we started seeing, okay, there's a lot of things happening elsewhere in the world, just a lot of moving parts. But when you look at this too, I want you to know that this is an estimate. This isn't necessarily going to be true for you. And a loan and the rate that you get with a mortgage, I should say, is going to be based on your situation. So if you want to know more about what your rate would look like or what you could qualify for, and you want to work with a local professional that you can trust, reach out, because I have multiple partners, and depending on what you're trying to do, I can connect you with multiple options to really help you not only, one, see what you could qualify for, but two, save money and have the peace of mind of knowing that you're working with someone locally that can really help you out. So feel free to schedule time on my calendar if you want to have that conversation. Again, it'll be in the description below. Now let's move on to our next section where we talk about what's going on locally. Now, if you haven't heard about what happened recently, there was a gas leak over in the Pierpont community. The road shut down. We saw construction crews. They've actually identified it as a full-blown leak. And I say recently, I knew about this a couple weeks ago, but I just learned that it's going to actually cause the road to stay closed for upwards of 10 weeks, depending on how smooth the permitting process goes. Now, I was doing some research and reading into this, and it sounds like they're going to need to do all sorts of environmental testing reports. They're going to need to check not only the groundwater, because it seems like some of the gas from the Sinclair gas station leaked into the groundwater, but it also had caused an issue with regards to the sewer line. So huge environmental issue. I'm curious to hear what you've heard about this, what you think about this. As a resident in the Keys, Pierpont area, I think that this is just a huge bummer. I mean, we're in a beach community. We've got the ocean less than a mile away from this spot specifically. It's probably like less than a half mile away. But that's just affecting our natural ecosystem, and it's a shame that it happened, and I just hope that they can clean it up. All right, that does it for the news. Let's talk about something fun for you and your family to enjoy here in Ventura, specifically this weekend in Ventura Harbor. So we've got the Ventura Pottery Market and Bowl of Thanks happening. It's the third annual event, and it's happening in Ventura Harbor Village. The event's taking place Saturday, Sunday between 10 and 5 p.m., and the Ventura County Potters Guild is actually donating hundreds of these really cool ceramic bowls. And when you purchase a bowl, they're going to make one and donate it. And the local restaurants are going to be giving out some free food. And it's a really cool thing that you can do. And all the proceeds actually go to help a local group, the Ventura County Food Share. So if you want to check that out, get yourself a bowl and take advantage of some of the good food we have in the harbor. Check it out on Saturday and Sunday. Well, that does it for our weekly market update. With it being November 4th when we're recording this and posting, we are also going to be working on our monthly market recap for Ventura, which will be happening tomorrow. We'll be putting that together for you. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this type of content and you want to stay in the loop, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because each and every week I'm bringing a Monday market update for you based on what's going on here in Ventura, what's going on in the news headlines, and what you should be aware of if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing. As always, if you have questions or you just want to talk with me more, feel free to reach out and schedule time on my calendar through the link below. I'll also leave my phone number there, so if you want to give me a call or shoot me a text, you can do that too. But until next time, take care.